Howdy everyone, and let's get straight into this one. Today I'll be comparing three very similar manual focus prime lenses for cropped sensor mirrorless cameras, and each one has an incredibly bright maximum aperture of f0.95. We have the 7Artisans 35mm f0.95 at only $250 or £250 in the UK. It is a very low budget model. We also have the Mitakon Speedmaster 35mm f0.95 Mark II, which is the oldest of these three lenses and costs $600 or £550 in the UK, so a fair bit more. And finally, there's the brand new Venus Optics Argus 33mm f0.95 APO, which costs a little less than the Mitakon at £500 in the UK or $500. Each of these lenses will allow you to shoot in very dark situations with very fast shutter speeds, and also get you fantastically out of focus backgrounds in your shots that make it look just like you're using a full frame camera. But what about their quality? Are they properly usable at those bright apertures? I'll be doing a fairly basic comparison of the three lenses here. If you'd like to see full reviews of each of them, then please look in the description below. And you can also find affiliate links for them there if you want to buy them, which goes towards supporting this channel. Many thanks. Let's look at their build quality first. Well, actually the truth is that they're all very similar in this department. They are all completely manual focus, manual aperture control, no image stabilization, no EXIF information transmitted to the camera. They are all almost entirely made of metal, well, apart from the glass elements of course, with smoothly functioning aperture and focus rings, and the focus rings on all of them are precise enough for focusing at f0.95, although the Venus Optics lens offers a lot more precision in its focus ring than the other two. It turns round a lot further, which can be helpful. Another difference with the Argus lens is that it's bigger and heavier than the other two and has a different lens hood and cap. Other than that, well, honestly, all three lenses look, feel and handle very similarly. The Mitakon and 7Artisans lenses are nice and small, whereas the Venus Optics lens is a bit easier to focus. So let's take a look at their image quality. I'm testing them all on 24 megapixel APS-C cameras here. With their apertures wide open at f0.95, all three lenses are surprisingly sharp in the middle, capturing a good amount of detail, but none of them have very impressive contrast. The 7Artisans lens shows quite a strong red colour cast and some magenta colour fringing. The Mitakon lens has some purple fringing. The Venus Optics Argus lens shows a little less colour fringing than the other two. Let's look over in the corners. The older Mitakon lens here is by far the softest, followed by the 7Artisans offering. The Venus Optics lens manages to remain surprisingly sharp though, very impressive. Let's drop down to f1.4. All three lenses remain about as sharp as before in the image corners. Back in the middle, all three lenses gain a lot of contrast and look a little sharper than before, although the Venus lens is still noticeably ahead of the other two. Let's drop down to f2 now. All three lenses look virtually perfect in the middle of their images, although the 7Artisans lens still has a slightly red colour tint to it. The situation in the corners is the same as at bright apertures. Stop down to f2.8 and the corners on the 7Artisans and Mitakon lenses both see slight improvements, although they're still soft really. Stop down to f4 and all three lenses enjoy a nice improvement in sharpness, although the Venus lens is still noticeably ahead of the other two. At f5.6, all three lenses look great from corner to corner, although the Mitakon lens is still the softest and the Venus lens still just about the sharpest. As you stop down further, down to f11, each of the three lenses begin to look just a little softer from the effect of diffraction. So it's a pretty conclusive, conclusion here. The newer Venus Optics Argus lens is impressively sharp. The 7Artisans lens shows acceptable sharpness for its price, although its colour fringing problems are pretty grave. And the poor Mitakon lens is seriously showing its age now. Time for a redesign on that one, I think. When it comes to vignetting and distortion, all three lenses turn in remarkably similar performances. They each show just a little barrel distortion, At f/0.95, the Mitakon lens seems to show the least vignetting, and the Venus lens the most. Stop down to f2, and the vignetting on the 7Artisans and Mitakon lens is virtually gone, but it does remain a little on the newer Venus Optics lens. Let's take a look at close-up image quality now. All three lenses can focus similarly close to your subject, so let's see how they perform close-up at f/0.95. If you look at the areas in focus here, then you'll see that the Mitakon lens is the softest, the 7Artisans lens is sharp but with terrible contrast, and the Venus Optics lens is pretty sharp, albeit with some colour fringing. At f1.4, the Mitakon lens begins to look sharper, and the 7Artisans lens gains contrast, but the Venus lens looks the sharpest. Stop down to f2, and all three lenses are very sharp close-up, although the 7Artisans lens still suffers from slightly lower contrast. Let's see how they perform against bright lights now. All three lenses fare as disastrously as each other here, displaying tons of intrusive flaring into your images, each in their own unique way, although the Mitakon lens looks just a little worse than the others. Now, let's see how they perform in one very important area, bokeh. After all, that's one of the key reasons anyone buys an f/0.95 lens, to get amazingly out of focus backgrounds. Those backgrounds out of the 7Artisans lens are fine, but can be just a little bit nervous in some situations and show just a little colourful outlining. Mostly they really are just fine though, no real issues. The backgrounds from the Mitakon and Venus Optics lenses though are exceptionally soft, really smooth here. I couldn't provoke any problems out of them, although the Mitakon lens suffers from a little more longitudinal chromatic aberration than the newer Venus Optics lens. So, well, I should draw some conclusions here, and they are pretty simple. The 7Artisans is your typical low-budget model. If you want a lens that can get you some gorgeous-looking narrow depth of field images out of your APS-C camera for a very low price, then that is your option. The Mitakon lens? Well, I liked it a lot when it first came out about 5 years ago now, but in all honesty, if you are looking for something a little more expensive and higher quality, then it's been pretty roundly superseded by the Venus Optics Argus lens here, which is sharper and better in every way except for vignetting. I almost feel like I should give you a disclaimer here. This video is not sponsored in any way by Venus Optics, it's just that they've done a really plum job on that Argus lens, and the test results just speak for themselves. Hope you found this helpful, and stay tuned for more reviews and comparison videos. Ciao!